In the early days, for about 20 years, we used to use this launcher, although we've changed it a little bit over time. It's got some stabilization with the string, but we used this for about 20 years. And it sort of worked very well. It fell over in the wind, all that kind of thing. Kids got exceedingly wet, and sometimes when they tried to pump away, the thing moved around them. So it wasn't particularly steady and stable. It was wobbling all over the place most of the time. And to be fair, I think we felt a bit bad about charging people to come in to launch rockets when this is what we presented them with to do it with. And the idea of the rocket is you take a fizzy drinks bottle, you fill it with an amount of water, not full, you add some commercially available fins with a little tube and a valve on, and that valve is designed to fail at certain pressure. So it was quite a simple activity to run, but it was good fun because the kids would put it on there, they'd pump away, the water would come out, everybody would get absolutely soaked in the freezing cold air of March, and they'd all go home hopefully happy. But it came to the point that this is not really what we should be doing. We should be doing something a little bit better. So I originally got hold of Laura, then I got hold of Annette here. And Annette picked up the ball and ran with it in a big way. She actually gave us a budget and a contact, and what she did then was find us an aerospace engineer. And the one thing with these guys is when they build aircraft, if they fall out of the sky, people get injured. So their engineering always very, very good. It has to be, otherwise their reputation suffers. So what we got was an aerospace engineer to build us a launcher.
Well, we didn't want to cut corners or make it look a bit Heath Robinson. So myself, John Rowland behind me, and David King, 3 members of the Strat team, were commissioned by the education team to build the new launcher. We salvaged a lot of the components, so it kept well within the budget. It's basically portable, so here we have our little handle that stows away, so we can just wheel it away. We have our adjustable feet at the back to level up, and you can see how you're doing with the built-in spirit levels. We have the windsock, just to give you an idea what way the wind is blowing if you haven't got a clue, with its little stowage rack here. The launcher itself is basically just a bit of guttering, thanks to John Rowland there, and you can adjust the angle from anywhere from 20 degrees if you've got a gale howling into your face. If the wind is blowing off your back, make the most of the height, and you can go to 70 degrees and 10-degree increments in between. And the pump is now mounted to the deck, which is on non-slip matting. We have the original pressure gauge that came with the pump here. But unfortunately, when the rocket fires, it doesn't record what pressure it went at. So we created a little bracket, got a registering pressure gauge here, which we've plumbed in with the pneumatics. That will record the pressure the rocket fired at, and then just reset with that little button there. And that is it in a nutshell.
Well, Keith had his drawings. What the guys in the Strat Chamber have done, and Jordan, John and David have done, is extraordinary, because what they've provided us with now is not just a more sturdy version of the old rocket launcher, but something that we can develop into a full-on workshop where adjusting the angle, and it's all calibrated. You may have seen that we've got all the different degrees marked on there. Then pupils coming along can actually do a full investigation on how far will the rocket launch depending on the angles. They can make predictions. They can vary the amount of water that is in the rocket. Obviously wind is going to affect it as well, and then the pressure can all be measured, and the pressure is stored here, so they know the pressure that was involved when the rocket launched. So we're now looking as a team at how we can turn this into a workshop that we can roll out for secondary school pupils, which is a big increase on the offer that we had before. So we're absolutely thrilled with the teamwork that's gone on. And I'm just so lucky to have come in at a point where it was already started, and people are saying, oh, thanks, Annette. It's not me, it's Laura and the team before me that got all this moving in the first place.
Hello, I'm John Rowland. I'm part of this devastating team from the Strat Chamber, and we're just now going to show you how we put it together so we'll enable it to be launched. So the key point to all this is the bottle. As you can see, it's advertising, so I won't mention it. It's Schweppes. Oh, never mind. So first action we need to do is put water in it, and in this case we've actually got the water in there already. And as someone said, the amount of water in there can affect how far it goes, and that could be another one of the activities in terms of determining how much you should put in there. So once the water is in there, we screw the lid, top on here, and as you can see here, it's basically a standard sort of top. Screw it in, and as you can see also in here, there is a little sort of metal piece that goes into a rubber bung, and that's what's actually going to release ultimately, such that the rocket is then launched. So we now want to put this into the launch guttering, which came from my dad's shed. But pull it through and lay it into the relevant part. And now the next key item is to get somebody like Annette to come across and to try and launch it. Oh, wherever you wish to be, you can stand on there if you live. Then you need to pump that up and down fairly quickly, and you'll see that, well, you'll see bubbles coming into the bottle as you do this, but you keep going. It doesn't really matter, just that's it, keep going. And all of a sudden, we have lift-off and.
Fantastic! I love it! I love it!
And because it's not SpaceX, we haven't destroyed the launch pad in the process.
And what's our pressure then, Andy?
That basically says it's 40 psi or just under 4 bars. And then we can release that. There we go. We'll pull the tube through and we can just lay it back there, and then we can find another volunteer or sucker.
I've got to have a go.
Select your angle, Keith.
Oh,
Note the wind.
yep, I'm gonna come a little bit lower, I think, yeah. So, as explained earlier, what we have here is a variable angle for this particular launcher. Now, if we put it virtually upright, the rocket will go up, it wouldn't go particularly far down the launch pad. Our whole competition idea with Science Week is to get distance. So that's what we're after, distance. The further we can go, the better. However, if we fire it up into wind, it may just get blown off course and fall over. So sometimes in heavy wind, we want it to go at a much less steep angle than normal. And the idea of the Science Week thing is groups of kids come in as a school or a class, and there's usually anywhere between 20 and 30 of them. We will divide them into teams, and they will fill a bottle, which is the other variable that we can put in here to a certain degree, and they will come out, put their rocket there and launch it. And we record the distance. And the next team comes out and does the same. And depending on time, we'll get usually about 3 launches per session. And we'll add those together, add the distance together. The team who's got the most meterage wins the competition. So they get a little prize or a little certificate.
We did actually note when we were test firing this a month or so ago that the amount of water, it's not as you might think. If you fill it up fuller, it goes hardly anywhere. There's so much mass that it's trying to accelerate, it just blops off the end. So you need to have a smallish amount of water in there, and enough to actually give the maximum thrust to get it going.
Now what we will do is we'll vary that over time. We've virtually worked out where we need to be with water to get decent distance. But with every school you will sometimes get competitive dad who will tell his group that his rocket will go further than anyone else because he's the unacknowledged expert in rocketry. And that's the point we try and cheat and make them put too much water in, so it just falls off the edge, exactly as my colleague explains. And it tends to put competitive dad back in his box, basically, and lets the other kids have a go. So, variables, amount of water, obviously displacing air in the bottle, that has one effect. The angle of the launcher, if I want to go for distance, I don't want to go too high, I'm going to waste all my energy getting up there. I want to take it along, depending on the wind, obviously, that's going to have a major effect on it. And sometimes it is the way you pump the air into this bottle. If you do it slam, 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 it doesn't work as well as if you actually carefully apply it in a very rhythmical way, and then it tends to go a bit further. So what we're going to do, step up to the mark, literally, or the pump, and give it a go. And shortly everybody will laugh when I get a bit wet.
Cool. Where's it gone?
Well, from the Learning and Engagement team, I really want to say a huge thank you, not only to Keith, but particularly to the guys from the Strat Chamber, to David, Andy and John, for the work which is beyond anything I imagined. I don't know how Keith feels about it, but it is so smart and it is going to serve us so well. And we have WOW vouchers that we like to give to people for going above and beyond. So I'd like to present each of you with a WOW voucher, which allows you to go to the cafe, have a lovely posh coffee and a cake on us, to say thank you for all the time and effort. This hardly begins to touch the surface. Thank you, gentlemen.
It's been a pleasure.
And I've got to say, you guys are some of the most professional and talented engineers I've worked with in a very long time. Thank you so much.
Two-way trip.